Welcome to the Plato Paradigm, a paradigm shift in reading Plato's dialogues. Episode 260, Lysis Conclusions. Last time I concluded that Lysis shares something with Politeia in that both dialogues dramatize aspects of the good, and Lysis does it not so well. Politeia, which is clearly later for other reasons as well, has far clearer cut characters which clarify the differences between the various aspects of the good and apparent good, especially when it comes to pleasure. In Politeia, we have three types of pleasure: the all-encompassing eros, the few but necessary pleasures, and the many pleasures, any pleasure that comes along which leads to fickle and very harmful behavior. I'll work all this out more fully when I write the analysis up, and that will be on my website. One of the big differences between the dialogues is that Politeia deals as well with justice. Justice is used as one of the criteria to judge which of the various aspects is preferable to the others. In Lysis, it seems that Plato has chosen to use philia. In other words, given the aspect of good which a character represents, how is this aspect of goodness manifested in the field of friendship? Just as Politeia is sometimes regarded as a dialogue on justice, so too Lysis is regarded as a dialogue on friendship. This is true insofar as the characters represent aspects of goodness or apparent goodness, with special emphasis on this particular aspect of goodness in Politeia justice and in Lysis friendship. Hypothalamus is dominated by eros. Eros is the very, very strong desire for that which one lacks. This means that Hypothalamus has no concern for his lust object. He will do everything he can to catch his lust object. He appears to praise and even to admire his lust object, but everything he does is for his own self-centered reasons. He wants to acquire that which he doesn't have. My analysis of Hippias Major shows that aesthetic beauty is a form of goodness. It actually is aesthetic goodness. Therefore, Hippias desires aesthetic goodness, but that is always in Lysis, not in himself. He also desires the social context, the goodness which is in the social sphere. But so long as he is dominated by eros, he will never be satisfied. I should emphasize, as usual, that because characters represent aspects of an idea or idea, they cannot change, at least in the dialogue itself, because they are dogmata, they are models. And were Hypothalamus suddenly to change, he would have to do it outside of the dialogue, not inside it, because he represents eros in this dialogue. Thus, Hypothalamus obsesses over Lysis and is prepared to go to any lengths to learn how to acquire Lysis. As such, we see that although he might appear to be a form of philia, he might appear to desire and therefore love and therefore be a friend of Lysis, he is far from being a friend of Lysis. He knows nothing about the character of Lysis. He is not thinking about improving Lysis. He simply wants to acquire Lysis for his own pleasure. Ctesippus appears to be an ideal friend. He seems to be quite normal, actually. He makes fun of Hypothales, which is a good thing. He's sick of Hypothales obsessing over Lysis, and yet he is still a friend of Hypothales, despite getting nothing from Hypothales. Hypothales is obsessed with Lysis. We may admire Ctesippus for his loyalty, and even more so for his desire to help Hypothales with his problem. He would like Hypothales to solve his problem and acquire Lysis, apparently, and for that reason he is prepared to use his own cousin to set up a conversation between Socrates and Lysis, which Hypothales can learn from. While all this might seem to be what a good friend would do, we should note that Ctesippus is enabling Hypothales in his bad behavior. This will not benefit Hypothales or Lysis in the long run. We also learn that Ctesippus has taught Menexenus eristics, which again may be what Menexenus wanted, but it's not helping Menexenus become a better person. It only enables him to beat people in debate and by that appear to be good, simply by appearing to be better than other people in debate. This is why I suggest that Ctesippus should be considered a facilitator, an enabler, and not a good friend. He appears to be a good friend. Lysis also appears to want to be better than other people, so he is as concerned with reputation as Menexenus, but Lysis wants to be better than other people in technai, in particular in the politicae technai. He wants to rule people. He will be better than other people, but he believes he will be justified in ruling other people. He is prepared to wait until he has the skill to rule other people. As we see in the arguments where Socrates gives leading questions to Lysis and Menexenus, we find that they both have a mercenary idea of friendship. A friend is one who can benefit, while someone who is already good at something doesn't need any friends. Lysis feels restricted by his parents, although they actually do want to benefit him, to improve him, and we may ask why he is so concerned about his friendship with Menexenus. He's prepared to even butt into a conversation and get embarrassed when he thinks that that friendship is being threatened. What is it about his friendship with Menexenus which he thinks does make it a friendship? What they have in common is the desire to be better than another. They are competitive. They find that they have a common interest in being competitive. We find this same phenomenon in Politeia, where Plato's brothers compete. And it is even said explicitly at one point that there is no point competing against other people, only with people of that type, because they're the best. So far we see that Hypothales wants to achieve his own aim. Ctesippus wants to achieve other people's aims for them. Lysis is prepared to be improved by his parents and other skilled people in order to then appear to be good by being better than other people. There are many examples in the arguments with Lysis showing that he doesn't really appreciate what a techne is in itself. The ability to read doesn't mean that you can put words in any order. Playing the lyre doesn't mean that you can string it in any way you want. Being a doctor doesn't mean you can put anything into the eyes of your patient. And being a cook doesn't mean you can shovel handfuls of salt into the soup. Surely the parents of Lysis love him because they are his parents. But again, we see that they seem to be portrayed, at least, as being purely beneficial in that they want Lysis to have technai. They want to educate him. It doesn't appear to be a very emotional family. And then we have Socrates, who, like the parents, wants other people to acquire a techne. However, this is a techne that no one knows about except Socrates, and this is the dialektike techne. This is the skill of conversation. Obviously not simply knowing how to speak a language with a native. This is how to use a conversation to examine opinions, to compare and contrast opinions, and reach a consistent set of opinions which would include the knowledge of the good, because without the knowledge of the good, your set of opinions will never be consistent. And this means that Socrates is the only one in the dialogue who is not attempting to keep people in the same state of being as they already are. Even the parents who are trying to teach their son to be better, to acquire technai, are not changing his attitude towards technai. Socrates is the only one who has a chance of changing people's attitudes. What is interesting is that in order to engage people at all in conversation, he has to adopt their attitudes to appear to be like them in his conversations in order to expose their own inconsistencies with the hope that they will then realize they need to do something about their inconsistencies. This is why we need to read dialogues more than once.